What's going on, guys? Hope everyone's doing good. All right, so I forgot to do the intro. Oh, well. Anyway, what's going on, guys? So, yeah, I totally forgot to take myself off, so I didn't get to do my intro. See, I'm rusty. I didn't even get to do my intro. What's up, Gary? What's up, Lavender? How are you guys doing?
Like 3 days ago. You're
Howdy.
rusty.
I didn't go live.
Everybody.
Did I go live 3 days ago? I didn't go live.
I don't know.
I thought it was last Sunday.
No, didn't you go live between that then and now?
I don't remember. Maybe.
I don't either.
But anyway, I hope everyone's doing good. I'm gonna go ahead and put the link up.
He's still thinking about going out auditing with Will.
I am not gonna go audit with Will. That's just what's not gonna happen. There we go. Oh, geez. I haven't seen Tim in a while. I hope Tim's doing okay.
I just seen him over at Paulie's.
Oh, that's right. Paulie's live. Yeah, that's right. All right.
Today's his birthday.
Oh, yeah. Right. So
I gave him a cake.
I wanted to start today's show with all right, so I'm not sure who this dude is, but he decided he wanted to talk about some auditors out there. So we are going to take a look at his video. Where is it?
That's not funny, Taco.
Hi, Taco.
All right, so here we go. Let's go and check out what he has to say. Short video, so it shouldn't be too long.
Hey everyone, it's Wayne the Ungrateful Peasant. Today, I want to talk about this YouTube phenomenon that I've seen on the internet really the last couple of years about these, they call themselves First Amendment auditors. And there's this one guy in particular, I'm not going to say the name of his channel because I don't want him to get the traffic. He basically travels around with his son, putting himself in a position to confront police. Which, I'm 50-50 on the police thing lately. I don't think there's very many good cops left, especially with everything going on now. We do need them to investigate crimes, but given that everything that's happened over the last year, I don't support them anymore. But at the same time, you shouldn't be intentionally putting yourself in a position to confront the police and then act like a whiny little bitch when it doesn't go your way and be a disrespectful asshole to them and then expect them to still, treat you like a decent human being when you're sitting there and baiting them you're sitting there harassing them and then suing them when they give you shit back. That doesn't do anything. That doesn't help our situation. That doesn't help your situation. It doesn't help anybody else's situation when you go around acting like a whiny little bitch, confronting people, and then crying when they get nasty with you. All you're doing is hurting the taxpayers because you don't want to fucking work. You don't want to contribute to society in a meaningful way like everyone else. You're going around to these police departments and some of these public areas intentionally creating a problem, being an asshole, and then suing them when it doesn't go your way. Of course they're going to be a dick to you if you act like that. Anybody would in that situation. You're a piece of shit. Because all you're doing is causing the taxpayers money. Who do you think is paying for all these lawsuits if you win them? It's the taxpayers. You're putting more fucking burdens on the taxpayers because you're a lazy piece of shit and you want someone else to pay your way to drive around and travel the country. It's not you that's paying for this. It's the taxpayers that have to pay for these fucking lawsuits that you instigate. You're a piece of shit if you do this. Now, I'm not saying don't stand your ground if you are legitimately being harassed by a bad cop on a stop. The best thing you can do is take it to court and let the judge decide. I've been harassed before by some police, and I've taken it to court and won. But don't go looking for trouble, cause a fucking problem, and then sue them when the problem that you caused came to fruition. That's bullshit. All you're doing is fucking over the taxpayers in every state, every county, every city you do this in. So don't be like that guy. Don't burden other people with your problems.
All right. So what do you guys think of that? What do you think of his statements, his views?
Pretty forthright.
Why? What do you think?
I like it. I like it a lot.
Now, who do you think he was talking about in the beginning? I'm thinking it was Amagassic Press.
Well, freaking media travels with his son. That
Amagassic
dude,
Press does too.
um
Sometimes High Desert Community Watch does. So it's News Now
Houston.
Yeah, News Now Houston.
That guy that was he got arrested with Anselmo at that house or at the tax office.
Yeah.
With the beard.
Yeah, that's the guy I was thinking
Yeah.
of.
I don't know who that is, but he has
Tall
his
guy
son with him. Yeah.
He wants to see the video I just posted. Did you call up your son or something? I'm thinking it's Amagassic Press, or it could be News Now Houston too. Who knows? He might mistake Patty for his son too. Who knows?
Wouldn't that be Tim and Patty?
Dang it, Bobby.
Yeah.
So Costas Rebel says he makes some valid points. I do too. And I think the interesting thing was the guy definitely wasn't, as you heard him, he's not a cop supporter anymore. So it's not like you can't accuse him of being a bootlicker of cops, you know? He said himself he doesn't trust what cops did, especially with everything going on, but he still feels the way he does. What's up, AB? How are you?
Hi, Kenny, Gary. Hi, Lavender Mexican. I'm good, thanks.
Oh.
Hi.
So we just took a look at a video, and a guy was talking about First Amendment auditors and, you know, some of the things they do. I think you probably missed it, right? You just got here.
I caught the tail end of it.
Okay.
But I wasn't taking it seriously. I was looking at it through my biased eyes, so I thought it was a guy under scrutiny instead of, you know what I mean? So I had looked at it thinking that you're putting him under scrutiny, not giving him props.
Well,
I'll watch it again.
Yeah, so basically he starts a video talking about how he doesn't like what First Amendment auditors do, but he doesn't trust the police right now because of everything that's happened in the, you know, over the past 2 years or whatnot. And so, but he still doesn't like the fact that, you know, auditors are doing what they're doing. So I think it was interesting.
Let me ask you a question about that then.
Okay.
It's hard not to be biased against the police. And of course, I'm speaking as a Canadian, but as an American, when you live in a prison system, which is for profit, how are you not going to see the fallback onto your police systems when they're your individuals on the street dealing with the public? I mean, this is the actual underlying problem behind all this, in my opinion. But I mean, from that regard, a lot of these auditors, I can understand their angst against the police, but the way that they carry it out shows more that they're unable to control their own emotions under pressure, and they just want to lash out and be heard. So it's kind of like this 21st century morph protest riot kind of mentality. You know, do you understand where I'm going with that, Kenny?
Yeah, I do. And so here's the thing. I'm with you. I can see why, you know, auditors have this issue with the police. I mean, I don't fully.
But again, we're generalizing auditors. I can understand people's anger, not just auditors, I should say. Sorry.
Okay, you're right. Yeah. A lot of people have anger for not just the police, but the government in general. So, and I totally understand why we have that. I mean, the government hasn't been for us for, at least here in the U.S., for quite a long time, and it's sad. And they've really gotten callous and just it's ridiculous how the government is supposed to be for the people is no longer for the people. So
Well,
I totally
in the free market in which we all love and exist, if you make prisons, and I'm not scrutinizing the system, you can vote whatever way you want. It's not the point here. The point here is when the prison system is a for-profit private entity, they compete for prisoners. They want a full fucking prison. Well, that develops a bias against the public. So, they need reason to fill those spots, hence the war on drugs in the 80s, people. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but really, that's the gear that's driving this. And it's not the police's fault. These people have a job to do based on the policy that people have put forward before them. It's difficult, and I feel for a lot of people, but in turn, it's not going out and, well, you know what? Putting cameras in cops' faces in this situation is probably a good deterrent. I just disagree with, getting involved. Unless, of course, there's always exceptions. And I've seen time and time again where I'm glad, for instance, that CCW said something for entertainment value and for the fact that, you know what? The more that I looked into it, I'm glad he did say something to that person, because the person that was being stopped didn't have any idea about their rights. And of course the police weren't going to, it's kind of, I get it, but again, the way that these people are carrying out is going to cause them more harm than good. But I mean, again, a lot of these people who are going out and doing this aren't really intellectually equipped with the things that they need to deal with the police on a mono level.
Right. Now, just to be clear, actually, there's not as many private prisoners as you would think. Someone saw statistic was 8.4%. I saw
they're all federally funded and funded by the government, but they're all competing for those contracts. It's no different, but that's the system in which we live. Those goddamn prison systems are scary as shit. And as well they should be, but again, there's all kinds of things, underlying things that are unpopular historically. Even the thought of locking a person up is unpopular. Think of Papillon in the French, and it's not a new how we lock people up and how we treat our fellow human beings is very important. We need to put that forth, to the forefront.
I agree. Lavender, what do you think about that?
I'm sorry, I missed the end. That it's the prisons causing auditors and the police to react to the auditors. Huh?
I'm not sure if that's what he was saying. I think we're just talking about discussing the prison system right now.
Sorry, I dropped you there, Lavender Mexican. I'm just getting dinner ready on the table too, so I was away. Sorry about that.
It's okay. No, I was trying to simplify what you were saying.
So how it relates to the kind of extremism that we're seeing in the auditor movement, the what's influencing these people to go out and interact with the police and get them on tape. But again, how it relates to the First Amendment community it's what fuels the extreme type beliefs that it's part to blame, I should say. Sorry, Lavender.
Okay. I don't think criminals have anyone to blame but themselves. I don't think the cops
I agree.
I don't think that the cops are intentionally looking for that's going to sound funny when I say it. The prisons, if they have an empty space, they're not like, hey guys, we're down.
Sorry, maybe I wasn't clear. Like, there's Randy too. All right, AB, you don't want to lock them up. What do you want to do with them? I was just pointing out a point. I'm not saying I have my opinions on it, but I was trying to point out where the argument was, not my opinion on it. It's difficult because I'm a law-abiding citizen. Of course, we all agree, and we agree on order to chaos. But when you privatize, it's the privatization, the competition, which happens away from the police interaction, right? It's you're watching the effects of policy. You know, it's not necessarily let these people go and say everything's okay.
Gary, what do you think?
If it was government run, for instance, it would just be, you know, the government. Maybe I shouldn't go into that. I don't want to confuse the situation.
Gary, what do you think?
Well, if you can't do the time, don't do the crime.
I just didn't want to. I didn't want to focus on. Yeah.
As far as a legal system being monetized like that, no, really, it's not. That's not the purpose for it.
Oh, Morgie, here's the link, Morgie.
The worst place to hit somebody is either put them in jail or take their money, and or both. You're supposed to learn something when you break the law.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be an enjoyable thing and everybody get out and go, oh, you know, that's not a bad place to get arrested. I know the parish that I live in has a very bad reputation for being one of the worst places to drive through because they are going to get you for something. And if you're a known felon, then you need to watch your P's and Q's because you will go back to jail. And the judges are very, very strict on our laws of domestic violence, drugs, DWIs. Those are our big ones that they're very, very strict about. So if you're running around with a broken taillight, you're going to get pulled over. So, you know, that's PC for a traffic stop. And then they've got, you know, plain view and everything else on their side. So, sorry.
All right, so we're going to change subjects here a little bit. And welcome, Morgie. How are you?
Hi, Margie.
Hi, Morgie.
G'day, guys. How are you? Sorry I was late. I was making coffee.
That's okay.
Hi.
So
Hi.
Today...
Hey, it's fake panda. I'm just kidding, Morgie. Hi, Morgie.
Oh, that was messed up.
I'm just kidding you.
It's Bird. Okay, fair enough. Hello, dear.
Oh, no, it's A-Bounce, A-B.
Oh, AB. Oh, sorry. I thought it was Bird. Sorry. G'day,
No.
AB.
They do kind of sound similar a little bit.
Well, in all the hubbub, I was listening in other panels, and when Morgie came up, everybody started calling her, "Oh, it's Panda," and they're from different countries, of course.
So,
that's true.
Right.
You've got grizzlies. We've got drop bears.
So a little bit of good news for some people, maybe. Ian McGuire, we got some news on Ian McGuire. Desert Sentinel released a video. We're going to go ahead and play that video and listen in to see exactly what Desert Sentinel is talking about.
Anyway, I was going to go over all this because you can barely see in the sunlight. Let's see. Originally charged with possession of firearm, prohibited subject as injunction, violation injunction, stalking, marijuana, drug paraphernalia, resisting officer without violence. Resisting officer without violence, breach of peace, disorderly, harassing and third-degree felony, harassing and third-degree felony proceeding, harassing third-degree felony. Oh boy, he had a lot of going on. So anyway, that was June of 2019. So, trying to go over my notes I frantically did. Then, of course, we're moving on here. This is when the U.S. District Court, Middle District of Florida, Fort Myers, filed their case on 9/11 of 2019. So that was for counts of conspiracy to defraud the United States, interstate domestic violence. That's what was filed. Now, of course, there's been a lot of things going on back and forth with all of this stuff. And we move on to the timeline here. That on December 20th of 2019. And this was reported by NBC2 News in Florida, assuming Fort Myers, Charlotte County area, that Ian was sentenced 6 months time served on 2 misdemeanor drug charges from all that original business. And I'm going to quickly fast forward because there were firearms charges and reported in local news sites that acquittal on all the firearms charges was on April 14th of 2020. So now, again, back to our federal case that he had. On August 26th of 2020, he was adjudicated guilty. And what he was originally adjudicated, what he was adjudicated guilty on is 18 USC 371 2261A 2A and B, conspiracy to commit stalking by use of an interstate facility. And that was count 1. Second count, 18 USC 2261A 2A and B, 2261B 5 and 2, stalking by use of interstate facility. So he was adjudicated guilty. And then he was set for sentencing. Now the sentencing was back and forth, that there was delays. There's all sorts of business going on as far as that is concerned. And as the sentencing goes, that it is ordered that the defendant must notify the United States Attorney just for 30 days to change the name, address. Oh, okay. Defendant is sentenced as provided in pages 2 through 6. The judge sentence is imposed pursuant to the Sentencing Reform Act. Defendant is hereby committed to the custody of the United States Bureau of Prisons to be imprisoned for a total term of 60 months. Such terms consist of 60 months as to count 1 and 60 months as to count 2. All such terms to run concurrently, which means it's basically 60 months to each other and consecutive to the term defendant is currently serving with Charlotte County, Florida case. Now, it's my understanding that the Charlotte County, is basically time served. You guys can do the math. My brain was starting to hurt just trying to go through all this stuff. That he's going to have time served. That's going to go towards this. He's got 5 years. Probably going to end up with just 4 years of that with the time served. Oh, he does have restitution of a little over $18,000. He's going to be put on probation, parole for 3 years.
Ian McGuire's the one who sent the dead cat in the mail, right?
Yeah.
There's been some
dude, he's going to come out a hardened fucking criminal.
Through all of the terms of
yeah, he might.
That,
he's definitely going to come out worse than he went in. That's for damn sure.
Now there was some other business going on
with a little extra resentment.
Good time credit.
Yeah.
Good time credit.
That's if it comes out at all. You got to remember he's a fucking smartass and he's already he's already got extra time for disciplinary problems while he was in jail.
You can earn 54 days, ultimately 85.
So he won't be getting any conjugal visits or extended family visits.
There you go.
No.
He'll get plenty of conjugal visits from his cellmates.
Early on.
Yep, that's right. No more guns. He's gonna hate that.
Trial.
Yeah, they love them fat in prison. They'll love him.
The butt of plastic stun guns are just as fucking hard.
That's all up to him at this point.
So there we go. So it looks like he's getting 6 years, but he's going to get time served for whenever he's already in. So more likely he'll only do like maybe 4 to 5 years. But I doubt he's going to get off on good behavior. I don't see him being good on any account whatsoever.
No.
Oh, he's already been written up for stealing other prisoners' desserts and stuff like that.
Wow.
He's been written up for graffitiing the walls in his cell and stuff. So
what an
He's
idiot!
a bully in the jail.
But Ian, the idiot's the same thing.
So he's going to get himself shanked in federal prison. He's not. I don't think he'll come out.
Now here's the thing. AB brought up a good point. If he does survive, if he does come out, he is going to come out with a resentment, and if he continues filming, it's just going to get worse.
Oh yeah.
He's not going to be filming for a long time. They'll take. Well, he's going to be in for 5 years plus the 3 years on his probation. That's 8 years. That'll be 8 years. And I guarantee you that he won't be allowed to. Part of his probation he won't be allowed to film, put things up on YouTube.
Well, no, don't you think don't you think also like just with the fact that he sent a dead cat through the mail that he shouldn't be allowed to use the postal service as well? I would have that because that's just fucked up. You don't do that.
I don't think you can actually.
Well,
I don't think they can, but they should.
You're letting your imagination go here. It is a fucked up situation, but can you remind me again whose cat he sent in the mail? Was it just a random cat? Or was it the victim?
It was a kitten. It was a kitten, and we don't know where it is.
Oh, that's sick. Oh, sick.
Like there's a difference in that. I'm just wondering. I can't remember the details of it. It was just a nasty fucking thing. Why somebody would do that is beyond me. But I mean,
the kitten was actually sent to the dead kitten was actually sent to the grandchildren of the woman he was stalking.
Double sick. He has no moral code.
Fuck, that is that is very mind blowing. Sorry, I asked.
You could tell just from watching his previous videos, the way he talks, the just how he carries himself. You could tell he just didn't give a shit. And and this is going to just exasperate all of those feelings, and he's gonna come out. It's just I don't know.
Well, he's detached from reality. You mean in his the way he carries himself?
Yeah, he has this real high opinion of himself, and like I know we all joke about how auditors like, oh, they don't care about anyone else. Ian does not care about anyone else but Ian. He is a textbok sociopath.
Well, you've got to remember also he had the.
Well, you could work yourself into being a sociopath.
Yeah, well, there's also the alleged that he killed his father. And there's also the guy that he shot on his porch.
Let me ask you a question, kind of on the side about that. If you know how some people are just such good liars and compulsive liars, like they lie all the fucking time. It's like how to themselves and in their daily life. I'm not just saying anything on YouTube here specific, but I mean, could you take what they say credible in a polygraph test?
No, not at all.
No.
Because they genuinely believe the bullshit. It's just like they can train themselves. They can train themselves to pass a polygraph if they're compulsive liars.
All they have to do is believe in what they're saying.
Yeah.
Most sociopaths do believe
in
what exactly.
And you can see time and time again the effect of YouTube and certain channels repeating the same cockamamie stories. Shit sticks. Doesn't matter if it's true. Most people don't care what's true and what's not. They just make determinations based off what they hear in their immediate environment. So I mean,
and Rusty and Joanne know he's not out of jail. He just got sentenced to 60 months in federal prison. So yeah, he's not coming out anytime soon. But anyway, so Gary, what do you think, man? Is it good news that he got put away? Do you think he's going to come out worse? I mean, what are your feelings on all this, Gary?
His moral compass is stuck on South. The guy he is just self-destructive. He's he's already walked down the road to ruin, and now it's just going to escalate when he gets in jail.
Well, what sort of psychological treatment is he going to receive from this point on?
Nothing that he wants to hear.
He'll fake it.
Yeah.
Do you think he can fake it believably, though? I mean, I don't see him being able to hide his disdain for anything.
Well, he's no longer in public. He no longer has control over his own life. It doesn't take two. You can be the hardest. he can be broken during that 5-year period in prison by
or killed.
True.
Psychological.
No, you're right. You're right.
They have all kinds of ways of waiting and asking the right questions at the right time.
True. Good point.
We tried to commit my brother 3 times.
Do you think he will be broken in prison, or do you think?
When I say broken, I say I'm trying. You want to break into him to try to get into him psychologically. He's probably
that's what I mean.
That's what I mean. I think he's not gonna.
Okay.
He's gonna put himself in a position where he's not gonna be able to be around other people. He's gonna get his ass kicked. He's gonna get the typical routine in prison. So he's going to be alone with doctors from time to time based on his history.
I want him to be beaten up.
Well, see, here's the thing. He's going to Fed prison, right? So he's not going to some state prison. So I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from my
right now
understanding,
he's still in state prison.
So what happens to the
those
victim? I mean, sure, this guy's facing 5 years for stalking and harassing this woman. Well, you don't think that that's it? The law just solved it? Well, you're going to kind of have to, defuse the craziness from this motherfucker through deprogramming and conditioning, which should happen in that fucking prison. If he does get released, he's not a danger to the public.
The other interesting thing will be when they find out, when other inmates find out that he stalked a little old lady and her grandkids. I'm wondering how long he's going to last.
Not long.
Or what he did to the cat.
Yeah.
And the cat, especially the cat.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. Like prisoners, man, animals, kids, women, they don't. A lot of them just have some moral, that's just wrong.
That's why pedophiles never make it through their sentence.
Exactly. So what do you guys think? Is he going to be in GP? I don't remember, but I'm gonna have to ask Desert. I wonder if he's going to be in GP or is he going to get some special treatment?
He'll be with the protected. He'll be protected.
That's what I was thinking.
With general population based off.
That's what I was thinking.
So there goes his hard demeanor. He has to be protected.
That's true. So with him being in protected custody, don't you think that's going to make it a little harder for him to be made not whole, but at least a better member of society? Or do you think the fact that he's alone, or the fact that he's alone all the time, which will quote unquote break him?
I don't think he'll ever be a member of society.
I think he's going to hang himself in prison.
I don't know.
I think if they keep him in isolation, that he will go into a psychosis.
He's already in a psychosis.
Yeah.
Well,
so you're putting him alone in a room
where he commits suicide.
So, he's going to come out the same.
Yeah.
Right. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Now, what do you think? Do you guys think he's getting fan mail in there? What do you think?
Oh yeah.
More likely, people love
Same
him.
people who love Josh.
Yeah.
It takes all kinds, doesn't it?
It really does.
Remember, women wrote letters to Ted Bundy.
Oh, Richard Ramirez too.
Oh,
Ted Bundy. Yeah. Richard Ramirez got married in prison. So did Bundy.
So did Manson.
That was
Manson too.
Manson was in love with everybody though, by the look of his haircut.
Oh, what about that one girl in Texas? That one lady in Texas who she committed all those really bad, curable crimes and committed to death, and there was like a big hubbub to get her released because she turned her life over to Jesus.
And you know what else she was?
Yeah, that might happen in the Bible Belt, but that's just it's a reminder of kind of the ignorance that people want to put themselves in. It's tradition, it's historical, and boy, oh boy, but there's an exception. Oh, well, she turned her life over to Jesus, everybody. Well, that's not going to fucking fly in New York, but it might fly in the southern states.
I remember that Wonder Woman just a few years ago. Yeah, when his body was released, there was thank you, Carla Faye Tucker. Yeah, they were fighting over Manson's corpse when he died. That was crazy.
Different prisons in the United States would have different considerations on what is a rehabilitated prisoner. Now, the fact that she was on death row and the fact that she has completely turned her life over to Jesus might, in the eyes of the law, be a good example of a reformed prisoner, which would be good for the system. Therefore, why would you want to kill that at the end of it?
Well, it wasn't. It was the people. It was just guys that were infatuated with her because she was pretty. and they've executed her. They ended up executing her ass. So I mean, it wasn't the prisoners that wanted to. It wasn't the prisoners that wanted the prison that wanted to release her. It was her fans, her adoring fans that wanted her released. She's better now. It's okay.
Well,
I mean,
she was a political point for those who are against the death penalty, and I understand that. But if she'd been some half-toothed, black lady, no.
Oh no, no. Oh no, not at all.
She was pretty,
just like
so therefore she was perfect.
Just like there was there's these killers. They killed their friend. What was her name? Tris. I can't remember right now. I just look it up. Hold on.
Well,
yeah, they ended up killing.
When Al Capone was in prison, people would donate like a $1 to him and write it out on a check. Well, he'd have to endorse it. Now those people had Al Capone's signature. They were selling it.
They collected like Mad Men's signatures.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, so here we go. So it was the murder of Skylar Neese. Now, Sheila Eddy was she was 16 when she did it. She's in prison right now, but there are like websites, Twitter pages, all this trying to get her out because, she was young. She cold-blooded and then posted to Twitter talking about how they missed her and shit. It was some cold-blooded shit. So there's some crazy shit out.
Jodi Arias in Arizona.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's still people trying to get her out.
Yeah. No. Yeah, she killed somebody in the shower and photographed it.
Accidentally.
She accidentally photographed or accidentally killed him.
Accidentally photographed.
Oh, I don't think she has any emotion.
Oh, I don't think so either. Have you seen the interrogation photos of her doing a handstand? Like, what the fuck? Who the fuck does a handstand during a police interrogation?
She's trying to become out crazy. I think she's playing the nuts.
She was smart. Yeah, she was smart. She really tried to play it. Luckily, the police were a little smarter in that instance. Thank God.
Well, even in a lesser case, like the one, I forget her name. She's in Florida. Del Filippo, I think, is her name. The one that cops actually filmed trying to kill her husband.
Okay, so they didn't. All right, here we go. So maybe they didn't want her released. They wanted her sentence to be commuted to life. Okay, well then
too bad.
That's different. But still, so she's
gone now.
Yeah, it's too late.
And I have become anti-death penalty because as a Catholic, I can't be anti-abortion and be pro-death penalty.
Mm-hmm.
But if it happens, it happens. But I'm not going to say go kill him. But if you're going to give him life in prison, that's it. You don't come out.
So I'd say based on the shitty goddamn systems in which you have in place all over the United States, which people are always protesting over, who the fuck could trust the death penalty? I would say no death penalty. Just based on that, you guys are fucking up so much.
Well, it was stayed once in the 70s. That's why it was like 5. That's how Manson was not killed. Because he did the death penalty and it was stayed.
They'll get to justice in prison one way or the other.
There's still a moratorium in California. There hasn't been I don't think there's been a execution in California since it's been a long time.
Listen, I can understand the death penalty and frontier hangings back in the 1700s when you're trying to settle the land and manifest destiny and the whole bit. But in the 21st century, with information at our fingertips and things that we blatantly know are wrong and raise questions in the untrained, like, why do we still keep this thing around? It's not right.
Well, what do you do for people like Ian McGuire what if he ends up committing some like horrible murders?
There's
what
always
do you just keep him in prison, but keep him in prison for the rest of his life? I mean, that's just going to cost money on the taxpayers, right?
Well, we don't have the death penalty here. They just disappear into the system, never to be heard of again.
That's based on the system that's already existing. One would assume that if you're reforming a system, you would streamline it to, your services. So you would have some sort of plan for these prisoners as they're in there and for their release. Not that they don't now, but it would change. It would change the way that they operate.
No, I will agree with everyone on the fact that the system, justice system and the prison system need to be reformed. They're not working the way they are. They're old, they're archaic, they're ancient. They need to be updated.
Alcatraz. Bring back Alcatraz.
They need to be probably synchronized with current state of technology, You know what I mean? There's no reason a crazy motherfucker can't be tracked 24/7. And if that's what you have to do, you're gonna have to put a stick of mic underneath his skin. You know what I mean? There's no reason you can't do that. That's probably going to be cheaper, and it would probably, if people are so up in arms over their release and if they're changed, well, unfortunately, they've given up their rights going in there. Chip them on their way out and monitor them.
They do that to. They actually do that to people that have raped or sexual crimes. They chip them to make sure they know where they're at all times.
It would make sense, wouldn't it? They chip dogs.
It would, but think of the cost. They'd have to get that voted in as well.
It would. Oh fuck! The cost would be cheap to maintain, cheap on the system. It's all electronic.
You'd have to keep someone watching 24/7 to keep track on every single inmate that you.
What do you do? Track. What do you do already with parole?
Well, they don't chip them.
Well, I know they don't, but I'm just throwing out an idea for they could do it and it would cost them less in the end.
I'm sure they could streamline it and get. I'm sorry, Maury. I'll give you a minute. Okay. I'm sure they'll be able to streamline it at some point, but I don't know. I think it'll be tough to get it past.
2,000 satellites up over us right now. You can track them.
I really don't. I think it's an idea, but I think they have a hard time getting it, through. Morgan, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I understand.
I was just going to say they have tried it, and a few of the hard ones have managed to actually cut the chips out.
Yeah, that's a good point too, isn't it?
Yeah, that is.
And you're looking at $140,000 a year, I think, to keep somebody in a supermax.
They have a cost associated with it. $140,000 a year in a supermax.
Something, yeah, and up to about I think $140,000 is about minimum.
But still, just because that's the cost that you've associated with it, does that make it okay in the light of killing the guy because it's cheaper? I know.
Oh no, I'm not saying. I'm just saying it. That's what the costs are. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you go into supermax, you never come out. That's just how it goes.
No, I get it. $140,000 a year to maintain. That's probably because they throw too much labor at it. It could probably cut that down a little bit.
I would be all for putting these guys back on chain gangs and making them work. The old chain gang thing. I know there's day release, but I still think that you should put them on the road works and stuff like that. Put them on, cleaning up areas, train tracks. We have them out on cleaning up train tracks and cemeteries and stuff like that. Beautification programs around the area.
Well, being private entities, a lot of prisons in the United States are very much different in the way that they work, and it's hard to generalize something like that. But I guess.
Well, they are now.
They had was letting the prisoners do telemarketing.
Oh fuck!
Oh Jesus!
Can you imagine? You're letting people who are in prison for doing this, and
that makes me shudder. No, that's funny though. The license.
It's not funny if you got conned out of it.
I still think putting them to work is a good idea.
I like the chain. See, Arapaio, even though he's kind of nuts as hell, he kind of had the right idea. Take them. Said, you don't like it here, you can go live in a tent in the desert for a little while.
All right, guys. So I created a poll to find out what people in chat think about the death penalty. So if you guys click on that and go ahead and vote. That's why I was just curious to see what people think about it.
Well, that's like a lot of these prisons, Morgie, or around the world, over time, over hundreds of years, like they've had these work programs in there and trying to give people trades and that I think they should pretty much focus on that only.
Yeah, I think for the for those guys. I mean, you look at the amount of guys you've got in prison for small drug charges and stuff like that.
Let's get them out.
I mean, if you got those guys, give them a fucking trade for fuck's sake. I mean, give them something that they can go out in, whether it's
options, I believe. And I think it starts with getting your GED or diploma and then an associate's. Not everybody, of course, it's a choice. You can't force somebody to learn, obviously. And I think that's pretty much throughout everything, which is a good option.
I know in the juvenile, that they do that. And I think at a lot of the women's prisons they do that as well. I know you can. I know it's for some reason in the men's prisons it seems to be a bit more. They don't seem to do it as much, but I know the women's education programs in women's prisons is pretty good.
It's piracy, which has been quite popular over the past couple thousand years. Everybody always wants to take the path of least resistance, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's always a better way or a better scam or a better or an evolved scam. You just have to find the victims, and that's
let me just clarify one thing. While I am not pro-abortion, I do not damn anybody who has one, and I would never give a woman grief about it. It's still your choice. Somebody just asked me how I felt, and I told them, has decided you can't be pro one and anti the other.
Well, I'm happy that I'm not an abortion. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
right.
It's just like you have to be consistent. You can't say save them now but kill them later. No, that's wrong.
Look, as far as you guys are talking about that from a men's point of view. It's up to the woman to decide. It's not up to you guys.
And that's what I'm saying. And I'm just saying,
Well, why doesn't the man get a say in it?
Because usually he's buggered off half the time.
I'm pro-choice. I am pro-choice, by the way.
But men don't get an option if they want to be there for the child.
Well, half the time they're not. That's the problem. A lot of if you look at the statistics, you'll find that either the father's buggered off the girl's underage,
there are those fathers men out there who want the children, don't want to have their child aborted, but they don't get any say in it.
Well, I think they've got to prove
I agree,
I think they've got to prove that they can actually.
If there was a conflict, what sense does it make if there's a conflict between the man and the woman over an abortion of a child? It doesn't even make any sense. Abortion usually come by the result of unsolicited sex or rape and things like that, not because it's just you're out drinking and want to go in and
or romance gone bad.
It happens in relationships all the fucking time. That was fucking ignorant argument there.
Yeah, but I mean, half the time the bloke doesn't know about it anyway, because I mean, the thing is,
I think they need to be notified, and given they need a choice.
The problem is, if they're not around, or the woman thinks that they're not going to, a woman doesn't do this just because they can. I think that's something they've got. They usually think about it pretty. Whether the bloke's around or not. Usually, if she's going to go and get it done, there's something that's not right with the relationship in the first place.
So all men who are involved in the equation get no say because why?
Because it's not their. Well, number one, it's not their body. Number two, there's usually, like I said, there's usually okay.
It is their child, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not property in a divorce.
I just got a quick question. How did we get talking about pro-choice abortions from Ian McGuire to death penalty? It's interesting to see how the conversation evolved.
I couldn't be pro-death.
Filing rabbit.
I was anti-abortion. I can't be pro-death penalty.
I think Gary's trolling.
No.
Yeah, it's not your choice. That's the thing. It's not the father's choice. It's
usually that's the question you bring up the Trilla panel, Kenny.
Because 50% product between the man and woman.
So what? You're not the one who's got to carry it for 9 months. You're not the one. You're the one that only was only in it for about 30 seconds.
Some men were in relationship for years, and they're
no. I meant making the baby, darling, not the.
Yes.
But I'm just saying. What I'm saying is, it's not your choice. It's a woman's choice. It's the woman's. Look, there's thousands and thousands more reasons that you're talking about a very, very small percentage. of blokes who want to look after the baby. And the problem is, even though they say they want to look after the baby, they don't have the backing, they don't have the resources to do it. The kid will end up with grandma somewhere along the line because dad's got to go out and work.
That doesn't make any sense.
What do you mean it doesn't make any sense?
I'm sorry. That just because you don't have resources, you shouldn't be allowed to have a kid.
If the woman doesn't have
No. I'm just saying. There's a tiny amount of blokes who actually want the kids, and out of that, the guys who want the kids don't have the resources to actually look after them. That's all I'm saying. I mean that's all statistics and stuff like that.
So we should keep letting these girls and women have babies that don't have resources either.
Be transgender, but they get the right to be transgender, but they're only a tiny percent of the population.
Okay, guys, we are really going off into a tangent now, so I'm going to have to cut this one short.
It's not a tangent. It's a nice discussion. Nobody's going to kill anybody.
It is. I agree, but I got so many subjects we want to get through.
Topics.
I never cut
Okay, all right. Yeah, we'll
wrap it up. We can wrap it up.
Let's do another program on it. I think that'll be interesting.
I'll just say there's lots of gay couples out there who would love to have a child. So if you don't want to raise it, they will.
More people.
No, I'm not disputing that. I'm not disputing that at all. But you look at how many kids are in orphanages now.
Because they won't let them adopt them.
Well, that's something that's where the law has to change.
Yes, it does.
Okay. Yes, well, there we go. We're agreed on that.
Yes.
All right. So the next, so our next subject is the Pope has actually started. A lot of people are saying this Pope is he's more open to allowing women more roles in the Vatican, and he's actually appointed 2 women to Vatican posts held only by men in back-to-back moves, giving women more empowerment in the male-dominated Holy See. He appointed Nathalie, I'm going to butcher this, Becquart, a French member of the Xavier Missionary Sisters. She's a co-undersecretary of the Synod of Bishops, a department that prepares major meetings of world bishops held every few years. And then he also gave an Italian magistrate, Katia Samaria, as a first woman promoter of justice in the Vatican's Court of Appeals. So,
first of all,
I mean, this is pretty awesome.
The Western Catholic Empire. It's not the Eastern Christians. It's just they need to change with the times as well, and it's been a big thing over the past few years. Good for the Catholic Church, but they have a big fucking problem on their hands. That has nothing to do with allowing women in the church. If they allowed women in the church a few hundred years ago, it would have been a lot better. But at this point in time, it's just it's a saving grace to see more, equal opportunity type of.
But you got to think of this way: they have to start somewhere, and this is a good start. Yes, they still have a long way to go, but this is a start. And the thing is, well, I guess the only thing is, are other popes going to follow his lead, or are there going to be more popes?
All the other folks are already there. All the other folks from Catholicism have been breaking away over the past 300 years. Presbyterianism with John Knox, Lutherans, all because of this. The rest of the world is already caught up. It's way ahead of the Catholics. These people live in the fucking ice age, as far as I'm concerned. The people in the Vatican. I love the history, by the way, and I have nothing against Catholics, but this is too far too late.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Church of England has had women priests for decades now, and bishops, and I think I think a woman was put up for Archbishop Canterbury recently as well.
I don't have a dog in this fight. I'm not Catholic.
I'm not Catholic either.
I have a little bit of bias against Catholics. I'm not Catholic, but I do love them. At this point in time, it's just a ceremonial thing. But I mean, what's it really going to do? Are you going to notice it in a? Does anybody listen to the Pope anyway? No.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's a lot of people that do.
Oh yeah.
Well. I shouldn't say
yeah.
that. I mean, in society, what's his effect on society in the
Well,
United States? Very small.
True.
In the rest of the world, it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the
Well,
United States,
he's making small moves in ways that maybe he can't change the church, but like go to gay marriage. Well, they'll never perform a gay marriage in the Catholic Church.
No, never.
He's pretty much said, I don't care. It's just not important to me. And that's a big thing. It's like they're going to, at least that's a destigmatization from the Pope.
It's a big thing. It's a big thing in Western Europe. So Western Europe and places like that. It's not so big in the United States because I mean there was a time there.
There's
so that will give
talk
the opportunity for women to be priests in 1,000-year-old churches in Western Europe, which would be a big difference to see. So I mean, to them it might be a good thing over here.
If you're under the mistaken opinion that the Catholic Church does not affect U.S. politics, you're very wrong.
Oh, it does.
Biden's Catholic.
Not saying it doesn't, but you got to remember that
the second Catholic president ever.
Huh?
Biden's only the second Catholic president we've ever had. Kennedy being the first.
And you got to remember that the Catholics were basically enslaved at one stage. They were indentured. They were absolutely ostracized by American society at one stage.
And we're definitely not loved in states like Utah and down south.
One woman bring up a very good point, but actually recently the new leader of the Young Prince, he is actually allowed women can now drive cars in certain Muslim countries. So I mean, things are getting better in the Muslim world too. I think things are getting better for women. A lot of places. There's still a long way to go.
Not in Iran, not in Iraq, not anywhere. In
Iran, the new ruler is actually women can now drive.
Which means
but
put him out of office soon.
But Kenny, you've got to remember that Iran was actually the most progressive Muslim country in the 70s. Regressed. In the 70s, they've regressed. Once the Shah was displaced and the extremists got in, they went backwards at a rate of knots. Iran, then that's where all that crap from Obama giving them back millions and millions of dollars. The Shah had actually purchased stuff from the US, and that money had been put in banks and had been collecting interest for all that time. It was only $40 million they put in, and the interest accumulated over that. Yeah. It was the interest that accumulated over that 50, 60 years that pushed that money up. But I'm just saying, in those days you had in the 70s you had Iran. There was Iran. There was what is it? Where we stage at the moment, oh God, I've been there and I can't remember what it is. Where the staging is, the other
Tehran
Sultanate. No. It's just where's the big base? Where's the big base for the Americans? It's not Abu Dhabi. It's
Qatar.
Kandahar.
No. Kandahar's in Afghanistan.
Abu Ghraib.
Pardon? No, it starts with J.
No idea.
Kuala Lumpur.
No.
Are you talking
Kuwait?
Yeah.
Kuwait. The Kuwait and.
I was going to say that too. It starts with J.
Sorry. Jeddah. I was thinking of because I think it's just outside of Jeddah. But I was thinking of the base name. Sorry, but
Kuwait's the ancient Sumerian culture.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that all those in the 70s they were all highly progressive.
Morgie too.
Oh yeah, well Britain had and they were sultanates still. They weren't hardcore Islamists like they have now. Yeah, there was
different
still
caliphates over time have just a course of power.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
they're very, very wealthy, and they've always have been very old money. Like even in Kuwait, which is the ancient Sumerian, which predates pretty much the Egyptians. Well, I guess nothing really predates the Egyptians, but they're right along the same lines.
Yeah.
Actually, yes,
They've always been progressive and always been themselves. It's not their own little spot down there.
I always remember when I was 18 years old and they took the hostages, and it was like I was close to 20 when they finally came out. 444 days, 53 people.
You mean in the embassy in Tehran?
Yeah, 444 days.
Yeah.
So when people say, "Oh, we should lighten up," said, "Nah, there's 53 people who will tell you otherwise."
Well, you've got to remember that the Assads and the Gaddafis have been running those countries for years and years and years as well. So,
yeah.
And this is where the problem has been. Even though we hated their guts and we didn't like what they were, and they are dictators. There was a stability underneath them, and the problem is that stability is now gone.
Nobody gives a shit for the actual country and the culture that has been there. Like even though
exactly.
they were tyrannical leaders, they had
they had to choose
appreciation
which one to like,
for
which
their
one not to
cultures.
like.
Yeah, but the problem was that the problem has been is that there was a void when these people have been deposed. There's been a void, and that's allowed the secular extremist groups to move in. Yeah, the secular extremist movements to move into the gaps, and that's why you've got ISIS.
Pretty much every 25 years in the area.
Oh yeah, it's happened.
It has for thousands of years. It's just new flavors and it's really driven by religion.
Oh yeah, it's a standard operational procedure in the Middle East. That's what they've got to solve. It's not, and the other problem is, of course, is the hatred between the Shiite and
all these religious factions play out. The Brits, for example, have been in there, and their businesses have been operational forever, and the oil, and they've had their fingers in the pie for so long. Well, who gives a shit? As far as they're concerned, as long as it stays there and doesn't interrupt production, big deal.
Mm.
All right, guys, this is a great conversation. We're going to move on to the next subject here. So now I want to talk. I don't know if any of you guys are aware of the protests that are going on in Chile about the shooting of the street juggler. Is anyone aware of any of this?
I saw something vaguely about it. I haven't seen a lot.
This one's new to me.
So there's a video of the guy getting shot right here, and we're going to take a look at it. So if there are any, I doubt there are any kids watching, but if there's anybody that is sensitive to this sort of thing, you might want to turn it off, go somewhere else right now, because we're about to show it gets pretty bad.
What was he juggling? Machetes?
Yeah, he was juggling. There are these little knives, and the cops are. So what pretty much happened was the cops were trying to stop him for just an ID check. He was not agreeing. He did not want anything to do with it. Then he started, brandishing the knives, and the cops shot at his feet at first, and because he wasn't, I don't know exactly what happened.
He came at the cops.
Yeah, no, I know. He first they shot his feet, then he started coming at them, waving his knives and all that shit. And yeah, then they shot him and killed him. And because of this video, buildings are burning down in Chile. They're protesting the police. I don't know. That looks like it was a justified shooting to me.
They're looking for any fucking reason. If you're in a situation at a protest when they're already protesting against the police, and you come up and this is all about choices and good choices at the time. That cop probably made a mistake by who knows what happened there. He probably regrets making contact with that person, but that person was probably looking for any excuse. He felt empowered at that time, mob mentality, and to go that extra mile and say that extra little thing to that cop, and then it escalated quickly. Next thing you know, that cop has every right to protect himself, took them down. Now look what you got. It's like that little hole, made an ocean. So it's what happens, and the flavor in popular society now, based on what happened in the United States, it's spreading out. People are becoming empowered because they're seeing the little weaknesses in the system that they want to exploit.
Well, and nobody takes the time to look as if there's justification for action. It's what the action was, and then everything's already in motion for protesting before why the actions occurred.
Yeah, the truth is there's probably a lot of underlying problems that are similar there within the police force. Probably, they're shady as hell, like they are in Central South America, and they're protesting against that. And this is going to be representative of a bigger problem.
Yeah, and here's the thing: we don't know what led up to the stop. I mean, we can only, they say that they were just doing it was just a routine ID check. That's all it was. And I'm not sure in the laws in Chile, so I'm not sure if the cops were doing anything wrong in that instance. But even if they were, that doesn't mean the dude needs to rush them with freaking knives. I mean, come on. That's ridiculous.
Dude, the guy was acting like a fucking nutter, so he brought attention onto himself. The guy's carrying around knives at a fucking protest like that. What's his intention? So there's a reason for the cops to talk to him. It's the cop didn't probably escalate that. That cop wasn't like a little bitch. He didn't want to shoot him, and it was a 22. Fuck. The last thing I want to do is shoot some crazy dude in the leg with a 22.
It wasn't a protest. This is just a routine stop on a street. The protest started because of this incident.
Okay, because of that incident?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's they probably have similar laws that a lot of our cities have. When you're a street performer, you have to get permits.
Was he a street performer?
He was a street performer. He was a street performer. He's a juggler. He's just a street juggler. And they approached him, and they did it was a routine ID check. Apparently, there's nothing wrong with that. Something happened, and they shot at his feet, and then he came after them. That's all we know.
We kind of saw how it escalated.
Yes.
Yeah. The thing is, if you actually watch it, you'll notice that there's more than one cop there. So something actually happened to get the cops there all together. Yeah, just watch it again, because if you notice that there's another.
All right, look at it now that he's a performer, not just some nutter.
I saw two.
There's at least there's two there, yeah. But I think there's more on the left-hand side if you watch.
And a big problem is we're seeing it when the guy's already set off. We don't see what gets him.
Yeah, exactly. It's about it's that 10 seconds. It's that misinformation. It's that last 10 seconds that you see. You don't. It's the same as frauditors. You don't.
We have many people that speak Spanish. Keep a close ear for translation.
Oh, hold on, I gotta find it again because I already erased it.
Yeah. But this is what the frauditors do. You only see the last bit of the altercation. You don't see what leads up to it.
No matter what, it's a tragic situation. First and foremost, no matter who's at fault here, it goes to show you how out of control and how fast something can escalate unnecessarily based on a person's reaction in the time.
And the fact that
control of your own emotions.
But AB, it also shows that people think that they have a lot more power than they actually do, and this is what happens. They're swept up in this everybody hates police sort of scenario that's been going on around the world, and the individual now starts to think that they've actually got more power and they can't do this, and it turns out that they can. It's still there's still that problem. People aren't getting it right through that this is not the way to do it. You're going to get yourself killed.
Work together, not against each other. You have to work with them. You know what I mean? You get a lot farther. And I know that sounds like bullshit rhetoric, but at the end of the day, it's true.
Yeah, exactly. It might take longer, but you'll get better results. And you won't be dead.
I think they might have actually deleted it because they deleted one video of it already.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I think they deleted the one I just showed before I refreshed it. Oh no.
Is it in your trash bucket? Or
let me look at my history. Hold on.
We can replay that. We'll be able to replay this on this thing anyway if we.
Unless they get rid of it.
No, unless we get rid of it. Yeah.
Let's see. Where is it?
15 minutes.
There it is. I found it. I think. Nope. Yeah, it's gone.
Oh wow.
Oh, that's good timing.
Yeah, it's fucking gone. They got rid of it.
Oh, you still have it on this program though, so for those listeners, you can just rewind and watch it again. But we kind of I get it. So it's crazy. When did this happen? Last night?
No, this happened. Let's see. It was on. It's not saying. The story broke on the 7th. So yeah, yesterday. Today, yeah, I think it happened yesterday.
Shit. We'll have to keep a close eye on that one because
I'm going to keep a close eye on this one. Yeah, they got rid of the video I just showed. That is crazy.
What's crazy is the military dictatorship. It goes to show you in all these great democracies, it can happen. And Burma, which is Myanmar, man, that is a travesty. So they've cut off the internet temporarily, quote unquote, so nobody can organize. Pro democracy activists can organize, and people should be outraged over that and hold them accountable to that. However, you're going to have to put a pause on that because these people have machetes at their throats. So it's fucking difficult to watch. It's in a place like Myanmar and Burma that has a tumultuous past of recent, that it's just it's a matter of minutes before it can turn into a genocide, and that's probably what's happening, unfortunately, right now. I don't want to say what's that. I don't want to imagine that, but
I found it.
That's what people are worried about anyway.
I found it. So let's go ahead and let me blow up the screen before I press the button.
See, there's a cop there just on the right behind him. Just here.
See, I'm not sure what happened right there. All you saw was a cop shot at his feet.
Yeah, there's a cop there.
You don't see what happened before any of this,
Yeah, there's a cop there on the right, and there's a cop there on the to the right of him. You see it, you can see his mask, and there's a cop behind him. Just if you just pull it back a little bit.
They've got him cornered.
Yeah. So there's more than just one cop there. Keep going. No. Yeah. Just go back, because you'll see the cop is behind him here. Right at the beginning. Just if you look to the right, you'll see a cop behind him, just where the yellow roses are. Just keep going. You'll see his you'll see his cat.
Yes.
Yeah, you see him right there. Yeah, look at me. He's got the machetes, the swords out, and everything. I mean, he doesn't. So, he's not very cooperative at all.
Is it safe to assume that you probably have 2 or 3 cops that just walked on the scene that potentially don't know that he's a street performer and see the knives in his hand and kind of assume to take the situation? They see a man not complying and things could escalate quickly out of there.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's hard to watch.
It is. This is interesting. All right, let's continue. There's shot the foot. Oh, here he goes.
There he goes. Yep, there he goes.
He's about to charge him, and that's it. That's game over.
Yep.
You don't rush a police officer. They're going to protect themselves.
Okay, so how do you know at this point? Now it looks to be suicide by cop. So doesn't that kind of make you go back and question the whole intent for being there in the first place? Because if he, at the end of it all, no matter what happened, is what kind of mental state is this guy in where he just charges at that cop with a machete?
It's still really.
How do you know that he wasn't suicidal by the time that they walked on, or he was a 5150?
Yeah, but you have a look at the cop. He's on this radio there. He's got his head down. He's not even looking at the bloke.
Yeah,
it's really hard to make determinations with what we're seeing here, because
it's important that we're pointing out the questions. That's important as they pop up, right? Because so what's happening in Chile is people are reacting to this based off a lot of assumptions.
Yeah.
It happens.
Well,
It
and
happens
not just
here all
only
the time.
assumptions, and they're just the past things of everywhere in the world with this issue with the police. The sentiment of the police are bad, and they see something like this, they don't. It's a horrible tragedy, and they immediately think that the cops did something wrong. Because I mean, when you first look at it, you're like, well, wait a minute, why did the cops shoot at his foot? You know, but then you know why they shot him to death, because he was charging them. That makes sense. But I'm still having issue with why did they shoot at his feet initially?
Well, it's a warning. It was a warning
non-lethal.
shot.
That thing's a little cap gun for crying out loud.
Yeah,
Like,
it's a warning shot. I'm gathering they're trying to get him to put the knives down, and he's saying no. So that they've given him two warnings. He still hasn't put it down, and then he charges them. What are they supposed to do?
No, that makes sense. That definitely makes sense.
Top right now is radioing in, probably because the situation is out of his control. What would it be updating the dispatch about? Like, this guy is not complying, and the situation has escalated. He's just shots fired type of thing.
Gary, these are Chilean cops. I doubt very much.
Yeah, I don't think they have it. Lavender, what do you think?
I think there's a lot that we don't know. I am reading an article right now. They do have the officer detained, the homicide unit.
They'll probably be for protection because there'll be people out for him. They'll be hunting him down.
Well, they're doing an investigation. It says they're gathering all the videos from the witnesses.
So they're doing their due diligence at this point in time. So that's good.
Now the question is, here's the question: if this same scene would have happened, let's say 5 years ago, would they still be doing the same due diligence, or would they just kind of like, no, the cop was right, sort of thing? What do you guys think?
The fact that there's so many cell phones now spread out over the world 5 years ago, even though there's lots in Chile, but the sheer number now is probably doubled. It's probably up the chances, and you're going to continue to see videos like this.
Police accountability has changed all around the world quite a lot, and a lot more than people think. There's some idiot in the Masshole Discord who's been spamming the Discord with all these posts about cops who've been picked up and charged with offences. Yay! Fantastic! Great! Good. Great. That means the system's actually working. This is what they're not getting. Is going, oh, the cops are so corrupt. The cops are so corrupt. Well, if the cops are that corrupt, why are these guys being charged? So
absolutely, right.
There's always corruption in any system like that. There's always going to be an element where there's a chance and opportunity. There will be an element of
corruption,
shadiness, corruption. Yeah. Sorry. But the fact is people have to learn to deal with that. They have their own internal services which share information. So transparency is key, and they have to. It's not like it's never existed and they need to change and now show it. It's always been there.
Yeah, and people don't realize that if something like this happens, the hoops an officer has to go through to before they're actually, whatever the verdict is just unbelievable, and the psychological stress that's put on an officer when this happens as well. You've got to go to the psych. You've got internal investigations. You can be suspended, so you're on desk duty. Plus the fact you've got to live with the fact that you've just shot and killed somebody as well.
Would it actually be considered corruption, or just a case of misjudgment, bad judgment?
Well, no, it's got to. Well, no, I mean you've got to look at the circumstances. You can't just say that. But the thing is that because the police are so visible, they get, when something goes wrong or an officer is actually charged with something, and they're the one, and because they're supposed to be upholding the law, not breaking it. That high visibility is what gets them gives them a bad rap all the time, because of course it's all that stuff that gets chucked out. It's not all the good stuff they do. It's not, It's not the shoes that some officer bought out of his own money for the homeless guy. It's not, you know, it's not all the kids that they find and bring back. It's, you know, it's just the corruption that's pretty much looked at a lot of the time. Well, and it's only probably 1% of officers that this happens to. But this guy who was spamming Mascot, it was basically state troopers, but there were state troopers from all over the country, which proves that the systems they have to weed these people out
are working.
Yep.
All right, let's just finish watching this video.
Yeah, sorry.
Look, he was
so
on the ground.
This goes down. The fact that this goes down like it did in the middle of a busy intersection, in front of a bunch of shocked individuals, not that are going to react to it and post it. All of a sudden, things can get out of control, and who really knows? Like we can't really tell what happened from there. But who's to say what's true and what's not at this point in time?
No, I agree, and I think this is definitely a story that we need to follow and, you know, follow up on just to see how it goes. If the officer is going to be charged, but let's just.
That cop didn't want to kill him. That cop didn't want to kill him.
So Gary, what do you think? Do you think from the video you saw and everything you know, do you think there was any kind of police corruption, any need for protests and burning down of buildings in Chile?
I don't think there's any reason to burn anything in any kind of protest.
Lavender, what do you think?
I mean, if they're gonna, there are other ways to protest, and I understand they want reform, but they have burnt down their municipal buildings, cutting power, water, everything
Services
to the people. You know, they're not hurting the government as much as they're hurting their own people.
They don't realize this.
No.
It's like Watts.
It's so.
Well, they Pinochet. How long has Pinochet been out of power there?
Oh God, 50 years or so.
Yeah, 70s.
Like they have an angry sentiment in there, so it's understandable. Like people. It doesn't matter what they do. There's a small section of society that will go fucking ape shit at this point in time because they're extremists. They're rebels. They've already, you know, protested in the most extreme notion. So I mean, they, even though they did make a mistake, I believe they made a mistake here. I'd say that just they're kind of highlighted the problem, extremist mentality in their country. They have to deal with it. The fact that they only lost one building is probably okay. At least it shows where they have to start and what they have to fix.
I'm going to see if I can get some video of show you guys exactly what's going on with the Chile protests. Share this video so it. Let's see.
There's quite a few.
It's crazy. I mean, you can see pictures of buildings just fucking burning.
You've got to remember too, Chile's, you know, been under juntas for years and years and years. I'm not sure exactly where they are at this point in time, but
for all I know, that police department could be as crooked as you know what, and that's quite possible in a place like Chile.
Yeah. I mean, you've got to put that in too. But if you watch that, I mean, no police officer is going to fire off two shots.
Based on our standards. Based on our standards.
On our standards, yeah. But he's still giving that guy a warning. All right, he's given him two. He's given him two warnings. And if you watch, the guy is actually moving backwards the whole time. The officer is moving backwards. In my mind,
that cop made the right fucking decision.
Oh, look, I agree with you. I'm not disagreeing with you.
No, I get it, Morgie. I'm with you too.
All right, so let's take a look at this. Hold on, guys. Just take a look at this video real quick, and then we'll continue. Just give you an idea of what Chile is like after this. Now, this video was uploaded 1 day ago.
Anger in the Chilean capital over the police shooting of a young street performer. Police used water cannon as hundreds took to the streets in Santiago. They banged pots and charged at officers. The protesters wanted to show solidarity with 27-year-old Francisco Martinez Romero, who was shot dead by police on Friday. Officers say they opened fire because the juggler refused to cooperate in a routine search. The government held an emergency meeting while a judge has ordered an investigation into the shooting.
We always regret that an operation of these characteristics result in the death of a person. As a government, we want to guarantee that all measures will be taken to ensure the justice system and the prosecutor's office can investigate exactly what happened.
The file for justice came after demonstrators set several public buildings on fire in the normally sleepy town of Panjipui. Residents
I'd say this
the
resembles
brutality
more of an
must come to
uprising
an
than
end.
it does a protest.
Agreed.
I believe that the
This
protocols and the actions
doesn't
of the
make sense.
police
Well,
must
even
be
in
clear.
Chile,
Yes,
it
it's not the
resembles more
first
like an
time, nor the
internal
second, nor
takeover
the
to
third
try to
time.
disrupt the politics, the internal politics.
We must have justice because something like this cannot
Somebody
go
else is feeding
unpunished.
this.
It cannot.
Oh, yeah.
Always wash their hands saying it wasn't self-defense. No, things cannot stay this way. It cannot.
Mass anti-government protests since 2019 have put Chile's police force under intense scrutiny, with local and international watchdogs alleging excessive use of force and human rights violations.
It's always been like this in the last couple of decades because the police institution has never really been reformed. There's a lot of human rights violations, a lot of repression by the Chilean police going on in the shanty towns.
See,
Yeah,
yes. It doesn't. It looks like there's a lot more problem going on than just that guy getting shot. That was just to set it off. Enough's enough to. In that way, I understand it. I can understand the uprising.
Yeah, and especially, you know, I mean, when you look at South American countries and the amount of influence cartels have. I mean, you know, you had the juntas beforehand, then the cartels.
The American government.
And American government, but the cartels, you know, the cartels always want power. So if they've got, you know, some raving lunatic like
there's a reason to disrupt the government and distract them and keep them up and take their time up. At least they know where they all are at that time. They could work around them, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, but I mean, you know, if you've got some major head of a cartel who wants power as well, there's a good way, you know. Let's pay a few people off to go and riot. We'll give them.
Young people are really easy to influence, especially young people that see a little bit of cash that they wouldn't normally see in a country like that. It doesn't take a whole lot of effort to round up some troops.
Yeah, exactly, and corruption.
Well, not troops in this time.
Thing.
You don't have to arm them. You can protest them in this environment and burn some buildings down and get a better effect.
What's this Nazi death camp secretary charged?
Oh, I want to save this one. This is interesting. This is our next topic. So I was looking for stuff to talk about, and I came upon this. It's a Nazi death camp secretary was charged with 10,000 counts of accessory to murder.
Yeah, that's not unusual.
So German prosecutors have filed charges against a 95-year-old woman who they say helped carry out the systematic killing of Jewish prisoners, along with Polish partisans and Russian prisoners of war.
Now, how is News Now Houston going to hijack this story? Is he going to try to sneak his name in there somehow? Fuck, here's an opportunity for you, Earl.
The woman who testified against the Nazi camp's commandant in the 1950s and was the subject of an investigation since at least 2016 was charged with 10,000 counts of accessory to murder and an unspecified number of counts of accessory to attempted murder. In a twist, the case is being handled by juvenile court because a woman was under 21 when she worked as a secretary at the Stutthof of concentration camp near Gdańsk on Poland's Baltic coast.
Which camp? Which camp?
Stutthof or Stutthof, whatever it is.
I haven't heard of that one.
Does it say what her actual job was, other than secretary?
The woman was not named, but senior public prosecutor referred to her as Hernawashison. To refer to her, German law uses the term to refer to someone between 18 and 21 years old. She would have been 18 or 19 when she started working at the Nazi camp in June of 43. She was a close aide to the SS commandant there until April of 45. The camp was one that used Zyklon B gas chambers to exterminate prisoners. More than 60,000 people were killed there. She actually had an interview on German public broadcaster in 2019 She says she has repeatedly given witness accounts to authorities about what she saw and did at the Stutthof camp. She claimed that she wasn't aware of mass poisonings or other acts of genocide, in part because her office window faced outward from the camp. But just because, get the fuck out of here. In a PR report, she says she never set foot in the camp itself, according to the
They're
Associated
handling
Press.
it properly. It's interesting as all hell, and it's a great thing at this 2021 to follow through, and it'd be quite an educational thing for the next generation to go back and force the young minds through the atrocities that happened during that awful time of history.
Well, you've got to remember too that Hitler's secretary Trude Junger, I don't think was ever charged either, and she didn't know anything of it. She didn't know anything about the camps either, and she was Hitler's secretary. But you've got to remember too, a lot of these people didn't have a choice. You joined the party, or you basically ended up in one of them. So there's that as well. But and if she was under 21 at the time, then she would have been totally indoctrinated into the party.
Which is why she helped prosecutors. I mean, she actually helped them. She told them everything they needed to know, and then they turned around after she helped them and said, "Well, you helped us, but you're still fucked up, and you're gonna pay now."
Yeah,
that's the way it works. Unfortunately, tough shit.
It's
this
funny.
is a different fucking beast.
Yeah, we had a guy here who was actually deported back. He's passed away now, but he was.
Hold on a second, Morgie. Isn't it? It's fine to be tried now. She's 95 years old at this point. She should be thankful she wasn't fucking hanging in 1949.
This is true.
I agree.
She isn't fucking dead with her entrails out all over the goddamn ground. So at this point, it's just a historical. I think it's a good idea to pass this on to the youth. I'm sorry I had to get that out.
She wasn't a Nazi, though. She was not a member of the Nazi party.
Of course, because she was a girl. It doesn't fucking matter. She could aid in the bet.
Typist.
It doesn't matter. But the fact that she didn't get tried at, she didn't get tried back then in the 50s.
Because she was helping them out.
A different standard. Yeah, she helped get everybody else. So the fact that she's not in prison and she's 95 and not going to prison at this point, she's already that exchange has already happened.
I was following orders.
It's never an excuse. I think the interesting part of this case is it's being handled in juvenile court. She's 95 years old, and they're handling this crap in juvenile court. That is just insane.
Well, I think
that might be the concession as well, because she was underage at the time. That might be that could be the concession due to the fact that she is 95 years of age, and the fact that she has been cooperating by giving people, we don't know how many people she's actually brought to justice because.
Well, now the confusion and the point and the shitty situations which the Nazis create when they put these children in situations that to kind of separate the onus from themselves a little bit for just the situation after the fact. So when they come back, just in case, it's regimented.
Well, I remember my
human shields.
Yeah. Oh, well, I remember my stepfather was at the liberation of Bergen-Belsen, and it was very, very difficult to stop people from actually shooting the Germans at the time. Trying to stop the soldiers from shooting.
Retaliating.
Retaliating. Problem was that a lot of them were actually people like Lithuanians and stuff like that.
Towards the end of the war, when they brought a lot of the other people in. Everybody could become SS soldiers. It was very different from like the 1939, 1940 Nazis. Towards the end of the war, they were allowing a lot of these little, anybody who was against the Russians, or for instance, or had any sort of, the bottom line is that the rules kind of opened up a little bit.
Yeah, but the bottom line also was that a lot of these people were exacting revenge on, especially Russian prisoners.
Well, that's in Nuremberg. That's why the guards that they used in Nuremberg were all Lithuanians, and they were all ex-Nazis. They're all old Nazis, and that's kind of who guarded the Nazi prisoners during the trials.
So
just so that there wouldn't be any retaliation.
So they had ex-Nazis guarding the Nazis.
But the ex-Nazis who worked for they weren't true German Nazis. They were Lithuanians who were.
They were press ganged. They were press ganged.
Yeah, brought in as troops, extra troops that worked under the SS.
And and also because they spoke German, so they also worked as interpreters in a lot of ways as well.
But don't you think it would have been less like some justice if they would have had some Israeli guards guard them? I thought that would have been some justice.
Well, yeah, you're kind of fantasizing after the fact, but
I know
at that time, the war-torn world, Israel was nobody. Like, I mean, the Russians and Americans at that point wanted to hold them accountable. The French, there's so much. There's so many
people wanting to hold them accountable. You've got to remember also that at the end of the war, that Himmler was trying to make a deal with the Americans and the British, that the SS would actually end up policing Germany after the war. He said, oh, they're not going to have enough people. They're going to need my SS. And he was actually in negotiations trying to get his SS to be able to police Berlin and Germany after the war, along with the US and the Allies.
The Russians weren't going to have any of that.
Oh yeah, I know, but I'm just saying.
Himmler put himself. Well, these people were fucking delusional at that point. You think Himmler was putting himself in a position to govern again instead of be taken out as a fucking war criminal.
Yes, there goes the Third Reich. Hi, I'm in charge of the Fourth Reich.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, I know, and the Allies knew that as well.
Yeah, it's
but
interesting.
I mean, the delusion was so. The delusion was that high.
It's scary. It's scary as hell to see the things that this society instilled into itself. But again, if you understand the Holy Roman Empire and history and throughout time, Germans are very unique people and very, what would it be? In what's the political word for it? Into it. You're very protectionist, very technically advanced.
Oh yeah, they always have been, and they're very methodical about what they do and how they do it. But I mean, you have a look at what you just have a look at what happened then to what has just happened with you, and can you see the similarities?
With me?
No, Americans, the US. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, with you. I'm thinking, what happened to
He's Canadian.
I'm sorry, Abby. Sorry, I'm talking about international panel. I do apologize. But have a look at just what's happened and see the similarities with what's just happened in the US.
And you mean the mental? I understand. Yeah, how easily
the mindset.
You know what's scary about it, Morgie, is it's the misinformation campaigns which people fall for so easily through their ignorance. In this time, people still haven't. Exactly. In this time where people have that information available to them, they actually make more mistakes now.
Yeah, exactly.
Through confirmation bias and just not following through with their understanding of things.
It's not that it's because they don't read anymore.
Well,
they're not reading the history; they're just getting it off. They're getting it off the internet, and the internet, if they're getting it off YouTube streams and stuff like that, it's not always correct. And if there's something that piques their interest because I always thought that was correct. Let's go into it, and then they'll find another video that backs up that theory that they have, and then they'll find another video that backs up that theory that they have.
That's confirmation bias, is what you're talking
about.
Yeah,
exactly. Confirmation bias. But people don't read anymore. They don't read the facts. They don't check the facts. They don't look for the facts. Well, it's such
a problem. Do you remember 3-4 years ago, well, up here anyway in Canada, they put all the judges through this bias training, unconscious bias training. And it's very come to the forefront now, so it doesn't, in turn affect any of their
decisions.
Decisions in the courts. But gosh darn it.
Yeah, and to your point, Morgie, it seems like the attention span of just everybody has really gone down, and I think that's why no one wants to do the research. Like, oh, that's too much work. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to find a video that says something. Then if there's something that supports it,
Social
I'll
media.
get that. Yeah,
It
social
doesn't come
media.
with
That's where they
not
get their
asking
news from.
yourself the right
A lot,
questions.
a lot of
Twitter.
people get their news from Facebook, Twitter, all these good places instead
Well-
of doing the research themselves. It's sad.
And it shows how easy it is to become
Delusion under some,
not only
under the guise of
delusional.
misinformation.
Yeah, exactly.
misinformation,
And you join those communities, and you join those communities, and you join those communities. Oh well, this guy thinks like I do, and and you end up down the rabbit hole.
Or how
You
it taints your belief about something before you know what I mean? It's because you got this story or read this story because it was shared to you by a friend. You had an understanding a certain way, and then when you find out after the fact, you kind of realize how biased you might have been towards it.
Well, then to get to that same
But by
point,
that
you got
time,
to
it's
look
too
out
late.
for the educational system, which is not necessarily pumping out all truths themselves. So I mean, it's not just the social media to blame; it's government to blame too, with the fact that they're not
teaching
correct information or critical thinking skills. Exactly.
Man,
well, in that breath too, they can put the onus back on the student. Say, well, just because you have the freedom at 16 to leave school because you're under the misguidance, we don't have the it would be against your rights. You've just exited yourself from being able, to be taught how to think critically, or the whole process, or you can't just sit down in 15 minutes and teach somebody how to think critically. You have to be immersed in the system, and then it kind of comes to you if it's not given to you already as a gift.
Yeah, it's easier to be told than to actually think for yourself, and this is where the problem is. People like
resistance. You think, Morgan?
Exactly, yeah. But people like to be told. People don't want to do it because it's too difficult.
Well,
they want to be told. They want to be told. They want to be led. I mean, you look at what happened at the Capitol building. How many people showed up for that riot? How many people wanted? How many people did you? I don't know if you saw the video, but how many people are standing in the middle of the Capitol building going, "Where's Trump? Where's Trump? He said he was going to be here. Where's Trump?" Yeah. That blind belief, and the fact that they undermined what you were hearing on the news, all the news services. Well, it's pure propaganda, and I think
if you look at it, it does work. And for all these years, you cannot understand now. A lot of the people can't really understand or put a thought on how the Russians influence things. When you can come and undermine, by feeding somebody's PayPal account, fueling some sort of a guy like QAnon, feed him a little bit of money to go down there and do something like that. Holy fuck! That's exactly what your enemies want to happen. It's not your freedoms to go down there and protest against the shit that they've been planning in the media for all this time.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about it is you look at all those young influencers, the Candace Owens, that retard on Turning Point USA, Jack Posobiec, that absolute psychopath. Cernovich, all those people, the amount of money that they suddenly made. These guys were absolutely nobodies. They had a little bit of influence on social media and they could talk, and suddenly hundreds and thousands of dollars are being tossed at them to do this stuff.
It's almost synonymous with the type of trolling that goes on YouTube. Sorry,
Hank has been waiting for a minute to say something. Go ahead, Hank.
Sorry.
Yeah, well, mass media, they portray what they're biased as hell. They put their opinions out how they want them, whether to whichever side. It's not just social media that's responsible for this shit. Mass media, back when I was a kid, they took great pains to use verbiage that would indicate something is still needing to be, information still needs to come out to find out the full truth. But now it's like, oh, cops shoot unarmed black man, bam, riots all over the.
Here's the headline. Here's the video. You make your own decision.
And basically, it's all about
questions. It's
all about sound bites. It's sound bites. It goes back to the fact that people don't want to sit down to a 15, 20-minute investigation. They'd much rather just get the short little 30-second, 1 minute, 2-minute little sound bites that get that make them either happy, unhappy, or just whatever. They don't care. Anything that is entertaining, anything that is provocative. That's what they're into, and that's what the news media is pumping out.
And social media is responsible for blurring the lines between riot and protest for the past, what, 2-3 years at least?
Oh, look at that. We were just talking about the Chile protest. From what I saw, that wasn't a protest. That was a straight up riot. Those were riots that were going on, but they referred to them as protests. That's ridiculous.
Well, burning of Portland, Oregon is being referred to as protest, and well, they'll go as far as saying mostly peaceful protest as they're standing in front of a row of burning storefronts.
Well, when it first started, it was riots.
It was peaceful.
It was riots, and let's put it that way. But you've got to remember also that in a lot of these as well, they were paid, especially in Portland, there are paid activists to go off and do this, and it's being blamed all on Antifa. Now, I'm not going to say that Antifa is,
guilt-free.
Is guilt-free. But I do know that the Proud Boys, Patriot Prayer, were paid to do a lot of that stuff, and they were, and that's why Portland is still on fire, because they're being paid to basically try and take the whole of Portland down. That's what they're after.
From the larger aspect, Morgie, you can understand it too. If that's the arena in which your enemies want to play, it's kind of hard to go against it. Nothing good is going to come out of it, but you have to meet your enemies on the field. And I don't mean that the enemies within, I mean that the financial entities behind all this.
Yeah, well, mass media is not doing a damn thing to cover the actual peaceful protests.
It gives them a bad name, Hank. And for the people legitimately out there protesting, it doesn't take any more than one asshole to really make them all look bad.
Exactly. And all you had to do was hand that arsehole $500, or get say, hey mate, let's go down to the let's go down and protest outside, blah blah blah. He's the only fucker that shows up.
A little bit of publicity goes so far. So if somebody sees a little bit of publicity in a way to boost their channel, for example, I'm just using that in terms, that could be incentive enough, Morgie.
Exactly. It doesn't need much. I mean, you look at moldy potato is a perfect example of it. Somebody gets water sprayed on them, and suddenly they're all down there. But they're all down there, and they're all going, oh, down to go and see moldy potato or protest for moldy potato. And you've got 5-0, you've got SGV, you've got the rest of the California retards going down there too.
Great, Mike.
Well, look at Moldy Potatoes Spice Week.
Yeah, exactly. So Moldy Potatoes Spice Week, and suddenly SGV's got spice, and Pedo Libre's got spice, and all that kind of stuff. But and these guys are starting to take it too far. The cops are not going to put up with this for much longer. They're wasting resources. They're attacking citizens now. And most of this is just to get clicks and views. Moldy Potatoes' new channel is failing badly. George Metz's pyramid scheme thing on what is it, Zorro or Roku? Roku is failing dismally, and this is where you see that this is more of a get rich quick scheme sort of thing. They're not changing anything. They're not putting in the lawsuits. They're not trying to change anything. They're just doing it for clicks and views or content or whatever you want to call it.
Can I make a kind of an on-topic comment here that I thought of based on what you said? I got to throw up props. I've been against Dougie No Thanks Hutton for a long time, but I've been kind of following him as of late, and he's out searching for these 2 missing people, and I thought, fuck, he's finally onto something. And props to Doug for actually putting up some good content, even though it's a bit of a dark subject, but he is doing a bit of good.
Doug.
Dougie.
Doug.
Doug, no thanks. Doug, no thanks. Yeah, that guy. Jim, what's up, man? Mr. Wahlberg, how are you today?
Good. How are you guys all doing today?
Doing good. So what's your opinion? First, we were discussing I don't know if you're aware of the protests that were going on in Chile earlier this week?
No, I was not.
Yeah, there's a video that surfaced on social media of the cops in Chile shooting like a jogger. But to be fair, the jogger did rush at him with knives.
Juggler. Not
Juggler, yeah. Juggler, yeah. Juggler was he rushed at him, so the cop shot him. Now there's all kind of protests. They're burning down buildings in Chile because they think the cops did something wrong. But then when we watch the video, it comes down to find out apparently this isn't something new. Apparently for the last decade, people have been really pissed off at the Chilean police. So that's interesting.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, listen, things don't get to that level that fast. There's always going to be some kind of underlying, you got to look back and say, well, where did this start? This isn't just because it goes farther back. And I think, like you said, there's a lot more to it. I don't know what's going on. I haven't paid attention. I've been watching I've been watching a lot with the stock market and the craziness with the shorts and kind of just trying to stay healthy and get ready to get this teeth work done.
All right.
So how does the Chilean government, Kenny, at this point quell the violence?
Oh, that is a good question. The best bet right now is to do exactly what they're doing. Conduct a thorough investigation. They need to make sure that if there's no, it has to be without question. There has to be no question as either to his guilt or his innocence. But at the same time, I think the only thing that really is going to really quell it is a guilty verdict for them to fire him, to do something like that. And even if he isn't guilty, I think that unfortunately that might be their best bet is to just say, you know what, cut their losses, say, okay, look. Because, I mean, other than that, I mean, I don't know. So, maybe retrain their officers.
Now that we're on that question, Kenny, maybe the next question is what are the demands that these protesters are meeting? What's the point? Is it just senseless violence at this point? Are there any demands put out there by these? From
my understanding, I think they want police reform, just like we want here. They want police reform.
It's just general police reform thing.
Because we saw the video. They're talking about how, like, for the last few years, this has been like something that's been boiling up in Chile that we didn't know about.
That new president is accountable. He was quick to that mic talking about internal investigation, which is exactly what you want to say in this, socio-economic environment. So, of course, they're not going to put that cop back on the streets. He's going to become a target. So
You've got to remember too that the problem with a lot of the South American countries is that they're trying to pull themselves out of the quagmires that they've been in for decades and decades and decades. So they are trying to reform. So it's good to see that they're actually trying to do something. They're trying to keep up with their the Western world.
Well, you have multi-generations that couldn't trust their government and still don't trust their government no matter what their government does now.
Well, think about all the people in the police that have been on staff throughout the Pinochet years. And, a lot of resentment builds up. You could have 25, 30-year guys on that force and think about the horrendous things that could have been taken out on the people. So they've just been waiting to get back at those motherfuckers. Any excuse to get back at those sons of bitches for the fucking beat downs and all the oppression that they've been carrying out because of Pinochet.
Hank, you're going to say something? Go ahead.
Yeah. You've got, take Cuba. One of my neighbors came to America after he was with Fidel Castro as a revolutionary. When Castro decided to become a dictator, he unasked the country. They've got now 3-4 generations of people that cannot trust the Cuban government, and I don't think no matter what the Cuban government does, that trust is just going to magically appear. It's going to have to form over generations. It's not an overnight process. And it's the same in a lot of the South and Central American countries.
Well, unfortunately, the problem in Cuba from an outsider's perspective, but a lover of them, is the fact that the CIA and the United States government has been undermining them since the 50s, since the revolution. That's the real problem here. But it didn't mean that Fidel had to go and buddy up with the Russians. So we're talking about old hat. And I mean, that's the essential problems here. I mean, everything was well-intentioned in the revolution back in the day against Batista. But at this point in time, the embargo that's being held against Cuba is really what's oppressing them.
Well, didn't they, from my understanding, didn't they got rid of some of the embargo, didn't they?
Yeah.
But you're getting rid of some of the embargo isn't essentially giving them free market. You're still trying to oppress them, keep them under your thumb. And I don't blame them. And they have to do what they have to do to keep yourself safe from the Russian missiles or whatever. But at this point in time, it would take probably a bit more influence from the people to cry out, but they're not in a position to do that, unfortunately. And they're
here's the thing: why is there still an embargo? I thought the whole reason the embargo was Castro and his regime. His regime is out of power.
His regime is still in there, man. His brother's in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey,
he transferred power to his brother.
That's right. He did.
So, and it's just all this is coming down to is a political pawn between Russia and the United States. It always has been. And the people who are paying for it are the people of Cuba. And that's why you have so many boats on the shores of Florida.
Yeah, absolutely. It would, not only that, you get rid of the embargo, it would help with people, illegal immigration. Well, not people.
I was down there in
It'll
1991.
help.
And it looked like a scene from Louisiana. The cars are on 1950s. They've got open electrical panels. There's I was stayed at a resort called Los Pinos outside of Havana. We were chained off. There's guards with M16s at the gates. People are still getting in. Corruption. It was crazy as fuck. It was interesting as hell. And of course, if you slip off to the in the middle of nowhere, you can still get out of the taste. But Havana is still a bit of a dive. And of course, the nicest building in that entire city is the Russian embassy.
I take offense to that statement, so.
You can take offense to it all you want. But that was my opinion from 1991. There's nothing against the people. That's the underlying problem.
Louisiana doesn't look like that all over, like Havana or like the Hood.
Oh, Havana is beautiful. I love old Havana and things like that. But I'm saying you can let a city deteriorate in no time.
She's wondering why you had to use or single out Louisiana.
Like it's a bad place to live.
Cricket.
Arl, what's up?
Cricket.
Arl, what's up?
Arl, my man.
As you can see, I was on Rosie Rand's panel.
Yeah, we're talking all kinds of stuff. All right, so moving on, let's talk our last topic here. Super Bowl picks. It is Super Bowl Sunday. I just realized this earlier today because I haven't been paying attention to football because my team is so not in it. They weren't even close, by the way. So, and it's the Tom Brady's Buccaneers versus the Kansas City Chiefs. What do you think, Live? Who's going to win?
Brady just got sacked, so my money's on the Chiefs today.
What do you think, Live?
Chiefs.
Live? Hey, Carl, what do you think?
I was on mute.
Oh, you were on mute. What do you think?
I watched the Puppy Bowl.
Oh, okay, so you're not gonna watch. You're not gonna watch the Super Bowl?
Hell no.
Live, what do you think? Who do you think's gonna win?
What were the stats?
I'm not even sure.
Chiefs sacked Brady. Chiefs sacked Brady just a few minutes ago.
Stats. How many wins?
Oh,
How many losses?
Oh, Chiefs, they only lost 2. I don't know how many Buccaneers did.
Oh, but they got Brady.
For a half
Discount
hour.
Brady.
Is it the Patriots and the Chiefs or the Bucks and the Chiefs?
Bucks and the Chiefs.
Bucks and Chiefs.
Oh, Chiefs.
Bucks at home, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep. Jeez, it's hard not to like Tampa Bay at home.
It is. Hank, what do you think?
I'm just praying for a good game and good commercial.
Yes, I want more.
AB, what do you think? Want more?
I'm going to have to go with Tampa Bay at home by 21.
Gary, what do you think?
Chiefs.
Is it because you're biased?
Definitely.
No worries. Me, I'm gonna have to go with the Chiefs. I think that they're just too hot right now. I do. I think they're gonna win. But at the same time, you can't discount Brady. Brady's a fucking beast. So I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if the Bucks took it over. All right, so that's it for today. I'm gonna give everyone one last minute thing to say. Live, you got anything last minute before we go?
Please go check out my channel, Lavender Mexican. Just sent out a new video. Please share, like, please comment. Anything you think I can improve on. And suggestions are always welcome. Thank you, Kenny, for having me. Thank you, chat. Thanks, guys on panel.
Morgie.
It's been lovely talking to you all. Thanks for it was an interesting panel today. It's quite diverse. WW Goddess of Truth. Just remember that the majority of those sport-rich scumbag players are actually black. That's why they take a knee. And if they weren't black, you wouldn't have sports in the first place. So there you go. Sorry, just had to put that in.
Wait, what? I do this. Okay. Yoda. May's doing okay. She should be getting a new iPad, so hopefully we'll see her back. But right now, she just wanted to let everyone know that she misses them and all that. She hopes to be back soon. All right, Hank. Carl. Anything last minute?
Well, as always, it's wonderful. I see you all. Riding bison, so do I.
Hank?
Thanks for having me up. As always, good discussions. Thank you.
AB? You're muted, AB.
And Chiefs is 3, Tampa Bay 0 now.
Yep.
Do unto others as others would have done unto you.
Gary?
Very interesting program today. I know I didn't have a lot of input into it, but a lot of the subjects, really, I did have a big dog in the fight.
Well, you just sat here looking pretty, Gary. Just sat here looking pretty. That's all you did.
I was sitting there looking at Lab all night. What are you talking about?
I bet you were. I bet you were. I just want to thank everyone on panel. Thank you, Lavender. Thank you, Morgie, Carl, Hank, AB, Gary. Make sure you guys subscribe to Lavender Mexican. Subscribe to AB. AB, so what's your channel? What do you have coming in the future for your channel?
I'm looking for inspiration, but we'll be back up soon. I'm just trying to separate myself from the drama. When you get too into things, sometimes you just need, when things become unhealthy, you need to separate yourself, taking care of real life things. But I'll be back soon. I haven't really gone anywhere,
Okay, fair enough. Morgie, when can we expect your first video?
You're not. It's not going to happen.
Morgie. God damn it, Morgie. I'm going to keep asking you until one day you're going to say, you know what, Kenny?
It's not going to happen. I like being my little coffee gremlin and coming on and having chats with people like you. That's all.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining me. Thanks to everyone in chat. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, AB, and thank you. Who was it? Hold on. It was Randy for becoming sponsors again. All right, guys. Hope you all have a fantastic day. I will see you again with a video tomorrow. Hope you guys all enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Go Chiefs. Go 49ers. And everyone have a great day. Peace.
Bye.
I can't believe you
Bye-bye.
two took that raving
Bye-bye.
lunatic seriously. What do you think this is?